All right, guys, so let's show you some more about the new Magic Automatic 2023. I did get some messages from potential customers and other artists asking about how it works on a studio shot, which is a curious question, I thought, because it doesn't entirely matter, really. But at the same time, whether it's natural light or studio, it doesn't matter, I should say. But it's depth of shadows and high contrast, low contrast, really wispy, very, very low contrast, like with some flare or something. Those are the things that can cause issues, whether it's natural light or strobe. But we're going to go ahead and show you some more uses of Magic Automatic, and we're going to use a studio shot here of Valentina. So let's go ahead and run something. Let's go ahead and run the Magic Automatic layers. That's the default one, but it's going to leave the layers for us to make modifications to said layers when it's done. So let's go ahead and run that. Give that a second. Of course, it's got to do, subject selection through the cloud, which if you're not on cloud processing for your subject selection, please do that. There are videos that I even have about that, so you can see how that works. All right, so we're done. Let's go take a look at what's happened. All right, so off and on. Let's put a maximum for you guys can see. It starts at 75% opacity. So right now, there it is. Off and on. And generally speaking, it's always too strong. That's kind of the idea. But we can always change things around. While we're here, let's talk about what we can change. Okay, so we turn it off and on. We lost a good amount of contrast in that depth of the skin tone. So what we do on our dynamic range recover, which by the way, as I go through this, make sure you watch our overview video to learn about how the whole thing works, so you can really get an idea of all the details. This is just more of a real world use. Dynamic range recover, we can kind of turn that off and on because we want to keep our contrast. It's at 40%. Maybe I'll put it at 15% just for a little contrast boost, but still going to help us with our skin smoothing. Okay, immediately I'm going to go to her face because all kinds of automated processes like this tend to mess up on faces. So I mentioned it before, but one thing I like to do once I run Magic Automatic, if I'm running it sort of heavy, I'll take a brush and I'll put it on 50% opacity, and I'll simply paint over on the main folder of the whole layer stack, paint over the face 50%. Okay, and that reduction tends to help me out. Even if I have to edit the face later because I want a different look on the face or a more polished look or something, then I can do that. Now here, if we look at this situation here, this is some kind of, there's some kind of little something on her leg that we probably should have gotten rid of before we ran Magic. However, almost certainly we can get rid of it later on too, okay? It's still there and it's on the bottom layer, okay? So a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times you can go back to that bottom layer. And I'm going to go to the spot healing and make sure it's not on sample all layers and see if you can get rid of it. Okay, so in this case, it is not. Let's find out why. No, it's in the mask. Now, our smoothness layer may be on top, but it's all really, really blurred. So let's try to go to the smoothness. Sometimes when you heal underneath and you have a lower opacity of the whole layer stack, that healing can be seen. But in this case, the healing should have been done because that high frequency area was pretty significant. So therefore Magic could not get rid of it. All right, so that's not bad at all. Off and on. The noise is a little bit high, so I'm going to take that down to like a 20%. Okay. Now, if I really want, I can also increase the contrast of the skin because we want to keep that. Something like this. Yeah, I don't mind that. Off and on. I think that looks kind of all right. Now, a couple of things. While we're here, we're going to skip over real quick because we're going to make it like 75%. I'm going to flatten to new layer. And then we're actually going to run NBP Actions 14, which is right here. Oop. NBP Skin Control Stack Pro version 2. Action 14 is being developed with a new set of functions, which Action 14 customers will receive the new functions hopefully soon. We're still testing them out. So let's see. Let's try to see what we can do. Excellent. That's a decent mask. We'll see how it goes. All right. Now, let's go ahead and notice how we're right on top of Magic Automatic. We'll leave it down here in case we have a disaster. We can refer to that and reflatten if we need to. Going to desaturate a little bit. Actions 14, you guys can check out the videos on that. I'm going to dial in sort of a nice tone that I like. I think that looks okay. All right. We also have overall shaping. So I'm going to make that a little bit stronger, but the shadows are a little less strong, maybe like 10%. Overall luminosity. That's a lot deeper, which is what I wanted. Don't get me wrong. Let's see what the shadows are doing. Let's dial in the color here. How about like a purplish? Nice and dark, but not too dark. Gonna give it a purple tone, maybe a reddish tone, maybe a little more purple. Purple tone, but a little bit brighter. B of 6 right now, but just enough to give me a little bit of vibe. See, I like that depth that it's giving me. Strong color, maybe I'll reduce that a little bit with desaturation from 20% to 25% opacity on a desat. There we go. And then I'm gonna flatten to a new layer as well. So let's group all those edits. I went from this to that. Let's zoom in. Okay, right across here. See what the legs are doing. Went from this unedited to this edited with Magic, and I deepened the skin up with Actions 14 Skin Depth Pro. See that? From that to that. All right, we can kind of look her face. We can change that a little bit. There might be a mask we have to fix on her hairline. That's so normal, especially right here. We can just kind of come in and blend that a bit. Something like that. So again, just another real world case of how to use Magic, but in this case, along with, Actions 14 to really give that deep look and give it a nice polish. Now, what's interesting is right here on top of everything, in the middle of everything else, I can come back down to my Magic tools and say, Magic Texture Pattern Skin. I can run that, and it's going to put the original skin texture that was part of everything, part of her, and put it on top. There we go. Or rather, it's going to take the original skin tone, and add this fake texture, which then you can dial in. There it is, a little bit big, because see, she's kind of zoomed out because it's a full length shot, right? And so the skin texture default is too big. So you double click on the pattern and you can make it like, I don't know, 145. Maybe that'll look a little more real. And don't forget, you can also play with the angle and see that a little bit more pleasing to what you're working with, maybe. Find the exact angle. You can also choose different texture presets that come with Magic Automatic in case one of these might be a little bit better for you. I kind of like that one. Okay. And then you can change, right now the opacity is at 100, which isn't bad. It's extremely subtle. Might be a little too subtle. Let's make it a little bit bigger because that pattern was a lot smaller. Make it 200. There we go. Zoom out just a bit. From that to that. Okay. And now all of these layers, we can group them all, zoom out, and we can go from this to that, okay? Which gives us a nice, beautiful studio shot like this. And then we've deepened the skin, cleaned it up, and we can continue from here, either clean up the background or do some color grading, or if we want to liquefy or any other stylizations. That's just a really fast way to use Magic Automatic, even on a studio shot as requested, and then do some skin modifications with Actions 14 Skin Depth Pro. Just want to show you another real world example. Obviously, if you have any questions, leave a comment below and we'll be happy to answer it. And you can also find in the description links to Magic Automatic 2023 and Actions 14 Skin Depth Pro.